What's up, YouTube? TPM here, and I want to touch on a topic that. Sorry, just looking at a game invite I just got. I want to touch on a topic about how vets and experienced players can help out newcoming players and beginner players in the fighting game community. I saw this topic on Mike Ross's and Gutex's new series, Wise Words, from their channel Cross Counter TV. And I looked at it and I was like, I like that. I think I make my own 2 cents of a video about it. So I think when it comes to learning fighting games and getting into them as a beginner player, and I'm not a vet, so don't, if you're looking at this video and you're like, you're not a vet, I know I'm not a vet, but I'm not, like, too wet behind the ears. I'm experienced, but I'm not a vet. But I think the mindset of a beginning player is to learn the cool things, to want to learn the cool things and to want to play with the cool characters, the characters with like these bizarre designs and stuff, interesting characters and stuff. And that's cool, but you have to learn the fundamentals to the game first. And I know you don't want to hear that because that's not what you came there to do. You probably came there to have fun and just go wild. But you're going to get to a certain point where, if you actually just want to play the game and you want to maybe not play it competitively, you're going to want to get better, Now, for anime fighting games, for real anime fighting games that have like animated series behind them, like Naruto, and there are other ones. I'm just counting the ones that are like mainstream anime fighting games, and Naruto, Dragon Ball Z, J All Stars. I'm pretty sure there's like plenty more. One Piece, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, and I haven't really seen too much of any of these games. I know, I've played Tenkaichi because I had that for myself. That's like the last Dragon Ball Z game series I played, besides the original Budokai series that came out before that. And to actually just get into these anime fighting games, I feel like you have to learn the system of the game, and it applies with like mainstream, I guess you can say the competitive fighters. Games like KOF and Virtua Fighter and Tekken and Street Fighter and stuff like that. Like these games, it's the same thing as those games. Like you have to learn the system of the game first. Once you've learned the system of the game, and nothing comes easy. You won't learn it in an hour. I mean, you can learn it, but you may not have mastered it. You want to really practice and practice and practice over and over and over. Play against somebody that you feel is. You can play against people that are better than you, but if you feel like if the gap of skill is really really far apart, you want to play with somebody that's closer to your skill level, so you can feel a little bit more comfortable and feel like the chance of winning is greater or equal at that. So you want to learn the system of the game first. After you learn the system of the game, then you could take a character one at a time, though, not like 2 or 3, because a lot of people, they get so hung up on trying to learn every character in the game, and they try to brag about it, I can play with such and such, but how good are you? You may not be as good. So you got to know how to maintain that balance with learning characters and stuff, because you can't just pick up freaking 5 characters and say, oh, I'm good with it ain't gonna matter, man. So yeah, you just have to learn the system, then learn the characters, because the system is like it's like the laws in the game, and then like the characters are like the individuals of the society in the game that make it up. So you have to learn like you have to learn it by the system, then the characters. Um, that's what I can say for the anime fighting games. Um, I don't think anime fighting games really get too detailed with certain things like the mainstream competitive fighters. Um, like if you're trying to get into like games like the King of Fighters, the King of Fighters 14, Tekken 7, or Street Fighter 5, or Killer Instinct, or Mortal Kombat X, you know, Persona 4. Like if you're trying to get in Guilty Gear, if you're trying to get into games like these, they take it more serious with some of the littlest things, you'll if you really want to get better, you can get good, but see, like in games where like I hate to say it, but in games where like you have people mentioning frame data a lot, you have to do a little bit of homework on frame data. I wasn't really big on frame data until I started playing like Street Fighter Cross Tekken, because I don't look up frame data for KOF games. I just play them, and it's kind of like muscle memory somewhat. Like I'll find out what's unsafe or safe or whatever, but it's kind of like something I've learned to learn just by visuals and looking. So, but in other games, it's like there's more to it. There's certain things that games, even all these tutorials in fighting games nowadays, they don't list all the stuff that, excuse me, like stuff that experienced players know about, but they're just not there. But we know about them and they exist, and they're gonna keep putting this stuff in the game. Like, okay, for example, if you're trying to get into like a 2D fighter like KOF, a cross up is not going to be listed in a tutorial. They're not going to tell you what a cross up is. They're not going to tell you what chip damage is. They're not going to tell you what like a meaty is. They're not going to tell you what a reset is or a vortex or something like that. They're not going to tell you these things, but we know, or like an option select or something. They're not going to tell you these things. They're going to let you learn the stuff that they've told you and then figure out the other stuff. Like, and to a certain point, that's okay, but some players feel like, everything should be told, and, it makes the community stronger because everybody knows about it. It's not like hidden secrets or hidden truths within the game, which there's like, always been, but those are the things that they're not going to tell you in those kind of games. And traditionally in 3D competitive fighting games like Retro Fighter, Dead or Alive, or Tekken, they don't exist. Like chip damage doesn't exist. Realistically speaking, cross-ups don't exist. I've seen some weird things where cross-ups can happen in Tekken, but they're not like real. Like, they're not practical. They're not something that you just practice because it's not. It's like a 1 in a million chance to really get it off. But things like a meaty setup or a meaty attack, they exist. Vortexes, some characters have like, they knock you down, and then when you're on wake up or getting up from the ground, they can have like a series of mix-ups and fake-outs or whatever that they can do to trip you up and make you think they're going to do something and they actually went for something else. Or put you in a situation where it's like you have like one option, it's just a block. Like stuff like that. They're not gonna tell you, but it exists and it's real. So I think as an experienced player, like when KOF 14 comes out, here's my thing. If you want to learn the game and I come across you and you seem mature enough, I'm not gonna train anybody that's, it's not really about age, it's about maturity, you know. But like if you're not really in it and you're not willing to listen, then I can't train somebody like that, you know. You know, I can show you the ropes of things, but you know, I think that's what it is, you know. I hate I hate seeing a lot of beginner players in the game, and it's like they just get beat down bad. And it's like I wish I could train all of them, but I know the time it takes. It takes a long time to train somebody. You know, it's really better to train somebody when they're like right there next to you, but it takes a long time to train somebody in a fighting game, especially like a competitive fighter like KOF or Tekken or Virtua Fighter or you know anything like that. It takes a minute, you know. So you know, like I said, in KOF, which is really what I want to get for my next fighter, I'm gonna get Street Fighter 5, but KOF is what I want to get. Like I said, if you wanna know how to play the game, or you wanna know about KOF, I can teach you that stuff. I can tell you about it, but you know, I'm not gonna train anybody who really doesn't want to listen, because I've come across that before, and it's been really annoying dealing with stubborn people who think they know it all, you know, and they only know so much. So, like I said, this is my 2 cents on the Cross Counter Wise Words series episode. I don't know which episode it was, but yeah. What do you guys think though? Because that's just my 2 cents on it. You know, I think experienced players can help out beginner players, but you got to be willing to learn, and you got to be willing to listen. Yeah. When you look at the video, be like, oh man.